Welcome back to Sportsbook Review Videos. It is week 11 of the NFL season, and that means it is once again time for the Schwinger and I to take a look at some of our best bets for the week 11 NFL season. Obviously, our totals have not been great, but mine actually cashed last week while the Swinger missed out on both his total and his spread last week. There's not much time for him to catch up, but I think he could be going on a run here to get above 500 once again. Swinger, you gotta hit one total, within the last 6 weeks or so. What do you got for us this week? We got to get you back on track, buddy. I'm starting to root for you just out of spite here.
just out of pure sympathy. Well, they do say there is such a thing as the do factor, but unfortunately, that's only usurped by the suck factor, and that I've been very, very good at this year. The totals have been absolutely crushing me, but I'm going to give it another shot. This week, we're going to be taking a look at the Colts and the Falcons. Colts are going to be without Andrew Luck on this one, and 40-year-old Matt Hasselbeck going to take the reins. And if you take a look at what he's done this season in replacement of Andrew Luck, he's been, exactly what you want out of a backup. He's been serviceable. He's not been spectacular. He's been serviceable. He's thrown in 2 games, both victories over the Jags and the Texans, I believe. He threw a combined 3 touchdown passes, 495 yards, again combined. But the key, no interceptions. And this is what you want out of a backup, because sometimes you've got backups that are young guys that are going to try to do too much. And you know what? They're going to throw caution to the wind because they're trying to get that top spot. But Hasselbeck has no such illusions about that. He knows what his role is. And let's face it, he is in the sunset, the twilight of his career. Now, I think what's going to happen here is that Frank Gore is going to get plenty of reps. I think that Hasselbeck is going to be very cautious. And ground games chew up the clock. Let's face it. Now, on the flip side of things, the Atlanta Falcons, the offense has become far too predictable. I read a stat here that made me think. Actually, I had to look at it 2 or 3 times. Matt Ryan has targeted Julio Jones like he's the only eligible receiver on his team. He's gotten 3 times more targets than any receiver on the Falcons, and I believe he's the most targeted receiver in the NFL. So as a result, it's become a predictable offense, and they have failed to cover the number of their last 5 contests, and not so coincidentally, all those games have gone under the posted total. So between those 2 things, I think it's going to be much more of a low-scoring game than people may think. I like under 47 and a hook in this one.
Not sure if I'm with you on this one. I don't disagree with your logic at all. I think this is a no play for me, just because I do think, like you said, Hasselbeck I think has the ability to lead this offense, and I think you may be banking a little bit too much on the Colts defense in this one. Just they've been absolutely atrocious, but I think in that dome, I think it is going to be really tough for them as well. On the other side, you're right. They are going to run the crap out of the football to try to keep Matt Ryan off of the field. So I see where you're coming from with that. So it's not that I disagree with you, just that I don't think I'm following suit either. I'm going to go with a game that you've already covered in your spreads, but I'm going with a total play on it as well, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Diego Chargers. 44.5 is the total in this one, and I think that the over could be a very, very good play between these 2 teams. We saw the Chiefs offense against one of the best defenses in the NFL, obviously missing a few key players last week, but dropped 29 points against the Denver Broncos. And obviously, we know the Kansas City Chiefs cannot stop the pass. And like you mentioned, with the Chargers getting a couple of their offensive linemen back this week, even without Keenan Allen, I think they're going to be opening up some running lanes. And Phillip Rivers obviously can chuck it down the field against anybody, especially against this very, very weak Kansas City Chiefs secondary. And I think on top of all of that, you look at a team like Kansas City, who really can run the ball as well against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL as well. I think you have both a perfect storm between these 2 teams, with some of their strengths going up against a defense that is one of their main weaknesses here, with the Chiefs in the passing game and the Chargers in the run game. So I could easily see 3 or 4 touchdowns each for these 2 teams. I think the total here is at least 2 to 3 points too low here at 44.5. It is starting to creep up back up to 45, which is where it opened. But still, I think that these 2 teams, divisional game, even though it has a chance to be a little bit more defensive, I think we're going to see a little bit more offense this week, especially from those Chargers. So what do you think about over 44.5 here between Kansas City and San Diego?
If I had to make the play, I'd go over. I think the thing is that, we're so focused on Phillip Rivers and the damage that he can do. And then you kind of look to the other side of the coin and you see Alex Smith against a middling San Diego passing defense. I think San Diego, they rank somewhere in the middle for their, I thought 17th for their passing defense. But you're right, they can run the ball, and that's the key thing. So I think San Diego is going to put up a lot of points. And I think when you're backing a certain team as hard as I am with San Diego, you tend to minimize what the other team is going to do. But looking at it in the sober light of day, yeah, I like that. I like that pick.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, the Chiefs have the ability to put up 20, 28 points in this one. They could also put up like 13. It's like there's a really high ceiling, I think, and low floor for them this week. So I could see where you're coming from with that. I know you obviously like the Chargers here taking the points at home in this one. So definitely don't disagree with you in that. But I do think both teams probably going to get 20 plus points in this one pretty easily. But that'll do it for us this time for our total picks. Like I mentioned, make sure you check out our spread picks as well. Been a lot more successful over on that side of things. So if you still haven't seen that video, make sure you check that one out as well. But until then, for Sweeney Johnson, I'm Jordan Sharp. Best of luck to you on all your NFL picks this week.